Imagine this. It's after midnight and you're home alone. A gentle knock echoes through the house. You peek outside and find two children standing there in the dark. They look cold, lost, harmless. Then they lift their heads and you see it. Their eyes are pure black. No pupils, no whites, just endless, empty darkness. They ask, "Can we come in?" What do? Because tonight, we're opening the door on one of the most terrifying modern legends ever told.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
From quiet neighborhoods to empty highways, people around the world have claimed to see them. They appear at night with pitch black eyes. They ask to be let into your life, to your car, to your home. Everyone that has seen them has reported the same suffocating dread. Tonight, we're going to go over where this legend begins and some chilling encounters, and maybe some theories on what these things might actually be. We're going to find ourselves in Abilene, Texas in 1996 with journalist Brian Bethel writing a check under the dimly lit street lamps. Two boys approached his windows. One was about 12, the other maybe 9. They said they wanted a ride home to get money for a movie. But something felt wrong. Their voices were flat, rehearsed. And then one of them said, "We can't come in unless you let us in." That's when he saw them, their eyes, completely black. Brian panicked. He sped off. When he glanced in the mirror, they were gone. When Brian Bethel shared this story, the internet exploded back in 1996 with other reports of other people saying the same thing or encountering the same stuff.
Hi, I'm Brian Bethel, and I live in Abilene, Texas, and I am a newspaper reporter. And I guess I'm here to tell you about black-eyed kids today. Sure. It was and remains the most frightening experience of my life. I think about it all the time. I drive by the movie theater where it happened practically every day.
You just live a few miles from there.
And every time I drive by on my way to work or wherever I'm going, I cast a glance over and I remember. And it's something that I can't control even. It's just an automatic response because this event is so ingrained in my memory. It makes me frightened even to think about it. And
You're going to retell the story every
and
time.
it never changes. You would think that I've told this story probably now, I don't know how many hundreds of times to people. Of course, the first thing they go to is that these contacts are available and people can put them in their eyes and whatnot, and that's true. But this was also a fairly long time ago when, you might be, Michael Jackson or somebody might be able to get some of those, for a video or whatever, with Thriller and his custom contacts. But he talked about, I remember reading an interview with that, how much that hurt his eyes to have those in for even just a few minutes. I mean, so these kids, I don't think that they're running around at the time, with a pair of $500 contacts each in their pocket, to just pull a prank on a dude in a car. And so a couple of 9 to 12-year-olds wandering around in a parking lot are not
Exactly.
Not gonna-
97.
Yeah, you're not going to have these
96.
things. And besides that, even before I noticed this effect or whatever, there was this fear response that kicked in immediately. It was completely irrational. And at the time, I thought, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I? There's no reason for me to be frightened of these kids, but it just kept going and going and going and getting worse and worse and worse until finally the big reveal at the end. And I don't know. I mean, it was really just one of the most
Incredible, I guess you could say.
it was so frightening. I mean, it was just so absolutely frightening.
We have another story out of Vermont with a lady waking up to soft knocking late at night during a blizzard to find 2 children standing at her door. The children once again ask to come inside. She hesitates, but the storm was brutal, so she let them inside. They sat silently on the couch. Then her husband noticed it. Both kids had black eyes. The lights flickered. The cat hissed and fled. Moments later, the power went out. 2 tall, pale figures stood in the snow outside. The children walked to them, and all 4 of them vanished into the storm. The couple later suffered nosebleeds and strange burns on their skin. And another story comes from England, where a man saw a young girl standing alone on the side of the road. He stopped to help, but when she turned around, the same black, dark eyes. He couldn't quite catch what she was trying to say. All he could hear was, "Too late." And then she disappeared into the fog. So what are they? Are they demons? Evil spirits? Needing permission to be let in, just kind of like vampires? Once let in, do they just drain your life force? But folklorists point to older things. Older things like European changelings and the Asian hungry ghosts. Spirits that mimic children to deceive the living. They too must be invited in. And then there's the psychological angle. Mass hysteria, sleep paralysis, the brain conjuring fear in the dark. But even skeptics have to admit, the stories are eerily consistent. Every story seems to have the same key points. A knock on the door, a request to be let in, and something deep inside screaming no. Something from the soul telling us no. Those who refuse survive. Those who open the door usually aren't heard from again. Are the black-eyed children real? Or has our fear made them real? Maybe the more we talk about them, the stronger they become, the more real they become. So if you ever hear a knock on the door late at night, remember this story. Remember, before you reach for that door, what might be on the other side. If you guys like that story, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more folklore and urban legends. Have a good one. Peace.